Hello, Warmies. Welcome to a new episode of The Warm Up. This is our first Q&A episode, and I'm really excited to be answering some of your burning warm-up questions. The intention with these Q&A episodes is really to help you and support you directly with where you're having challenges with your warm-up process. We got some great questions this week. All you have to do is either submit your question via text. There's a link in the show notes for you to do that. Or you can actually record a voice message. You'll hear one today. And that's really nice because it feels a little bit more interactive. And of course, if you want to go deeper, if you actually want to plan out your warm-up with me, plan out your whole launch with me, if you really want to make launching part of your business and create regular sales around your offers, I really recommend my program, Launch Your Own Way. I've taken over 300 creative service providers through the launch process, many of whom have completely transformed their business. I was actually reflecting today about how much launching has changed my business because I had a brand designer reach out about getting inconsistent clients and not really being sure about why. And I asked her straight up, like, are you doing campaigns around your offers? And she's like, no, I'm just posting them when I need a new client. And I'm like, okay. When I had a design studio, I was doing that at first as well. But once I created regular launch campaigns in my business, everything changed. I went from totally random inquiries to being booked and busy ahead of time, had regular inquiries coming in, and scaled my business from $100,000 in the first year to over $400,000 in the second year. So launch campaigns really work. There's a reason I evangelize them and try to get every service provider on the launch train. And I have a program to help guide you through how to do that. So definitely recommend joining. Again, you can grab the link in the show notes, register your interest, and you'll get a special code to join. All right, now let's dig into the questions. Methods for getting more audience on socials and the best platforms to start with, especially if you're trying to target wellness product founders as your main audience. So my first instinct with this question is to ask, what is the desire behind more followers? And I ask that because I've had people in Launch Your Own Way who come in with 50,000 followers, 75,000 followers, 100,000 followers who cannot convert to save their life. They have not done the important work of warming up, so they might as well not have any followers. They're not getting the engagement. No one really is interested in what they do. Whereas I've also had people with literally 500 followers, 300 followers, less than 1,000 followers. Like if you listen to my podcast again with Michelle that I just did, she had less than 1,000 followers that continually sell out their launches. So do you really need more followers, or do you need to have a better warm-up strategy for those who are already in your audience? That would be question one, because frequently it's actually not about more followers, right? Your new followers today might become your clients in 6 months, whereas your followers today are going to become your clients soon if you actually warm them up, because they're already bought in, they're already following you, they've already discovered you, they just need to be warmed up. So I would really recommend having some sort of strategy for warm-up as a priority. But if you have really identified a lead problem, a visibility problem, like you aren't actually bringing in enough people into your world to discover you, or maybe you're stuck like the previous question where you have an audience, but they're not your ideal audience, or you've pivoted away from one audience and you need to grow another one, you really want to have a visibility strategy. That's the best way to get more followers. And I would really look at it as like a flywheel. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to post more on Reels, right? That's one visibility strategy. People who aren't following you currently are going to be able to potentially see your Reels, right? So there's only a few places on social media specifically that strangers can discover you. So there's Reels, there's carousels if you land on the Explore page. And then Threads is really great for discoverability. Obviously, TikTok's amazing for discoverability on the FYP page. LinkedIn is pretty good for discoverability as well if you are, building a personal brand on there. But then there's so many other places that you need to think about where people could potentially discover you and then follow along. especially if you are in a niche kind of creative service provider space. So it looks like you're a packaging and brand designer. Things that you can do to really get out there and get known and get people to follow along is things like regularly guesting on podcasts, regularly guesting in programs and doing collaborations. Collaborations are literally one of the best ways to fast track discoverability because you are borrowing people's audience. Another great way that I've been doing a lot lately is trial reels. So trial reels are reels that only get shown to non-followers. It's a great thing to test out. And what I'm seeing work there are reels that are funny or relatable that just have B-roll and a little bit of text on them. But again, the followers is not the end goal. There's no point in getting these followers if you have no warm-up strategy and if you're not leading them to some sort of a launch campaign at the end of it. So if you don't have a really strong strategy around how you're warming them up in your content or how you're taking them from your content into your newsletter list or sending regular emails, there's literally no point in getting a lot more followers. You already have over 1,000 followers. That should be plenty of followers to have a lot of great launches. So what I would look at if I were you is what's not connecting, what's unclear, what's actually working from building the last, X amount of years you've been building, and double down on that. Focus more on your warm-up strategy than volume. Have a visibility plan, of course. It's important. And like I said, treat it like a flywheel where one thing leads to the other. You're on a podcast, which leads to your newsletter, which leads to your social media, which leads to your threads, right? Like everything should kind of be connected into this ecosystem that is then continually warming people up. What I'm seeing from your socials is potentially that a bit of a strategy and a plan toward a launch campaign would be a great kind of next step for you. Okay, if you loved that episode and you want more, you've got to check out the full episode of my podcast, The Warm Up. This was just a sneak peek, but the full conversation goes way deeper. Plus, there's way more episodes for you to listen to. So head to cominguproses.co/warmup, give it a listen, and I'll see you over there.